Hi, Grace. It's Pastor Maddie. We are kicking off our Stewardship series, which is called The Metric of Grace. Oftentimes in stewardship, it is a season where we focus on money and giving and pledges, and we're going to do that. But we really wanted to highlight in this series how all of these numbers and this money and pledge giving goes to really concrete parts of our mission here at Grace UMC. And so over the next couple of weeks, you will be seeing videos and stories from different Grace members, staff members, finance leaders who are going to try and through their stories share a little bit about what the metric of grace is, or what's behind all those numbers and money amounts, so that we can dive a little bit deeper into who God is calling us to be. So our first question is, looking at your day-to-day role at Grace, what is made possible because of Grace UMC pledges? Well, the short answer is everything. I think a lot of people assume that most of our money and pledges go towards my salary, and a lot of it does, but so much of my day-to-day job is made possible because of Grace pledges. Some examples I think of: youth group, for example, whether it be money spent on the Harry Potter lock-in we had last year, or the float trip we had a couple of months ago, all the way to this Sunday we had a pizza night. Those pledges contribute towards making our youth program vital and exciting for our youth. Another thing I think of is me and Amber joke all the time. We are, while we are hired for particular roles, we really feel like graphic designers most of the time. And so your pledges go to really simple things like all of the images you see on Facebook, on Instagram, on our worship every Sunday, on just any image you see. Your pledges help make that happen, and it can feel really small and maybe not super important, but it's a really wonderful way to make information accessible and make it accessible in a very appealing way. And the last thing I'd say when it comes to pledges, a lot of my job is spent getting to know people through one-on-ones. And so pledges go towards making those one-on-ones happen, whether it be grabbing coffee at College Hill, grabbing lunch. Now it's social distance, but your pledges go towards making that happen and making connections within the community so that we can keep growing our mission. What is your favorite part of your job? I would say those one-on-ones that I just talked about. I love getting to meet with Grace members, with community members, with college students, whomever it might be, and just simply hear some of their story, offer support as best I can, and prayer, and walk with folks in their own journeys. And that's probably the favorite part of my job. During this time of COVID-19, how has your day-to-day role changed? What have been the biggest adjustments? Well, similarly, everything, in short. I would say the biggest piece, which won't be surprising for any of us, is that everything has shifted online. So I think of, worship and organizing meetings and communicating with folks. All of that is online in a way that we definitely were not as much online before. And so it's been a real joy, but it's also been a big learning curve for me, for staff, for our technology team. That's just been a massive, massive change. And so even looking to worship, like we have, our order of worship is now online, and we communicate with everyone in the service online. And then we do the images for the service online, and then we produce it online. So everything is online, which again is a joy, but is definitely a learning curve. When you look to the next year, what is your hope for Grace and for your role? Well, starting with my role, I would say, as I mentioned, everything's online now, and my hope is that as our country and world gets a hold of this pandemic, that some of my role might shift from being online to back in person, caring for people, walking with them, having those one-on-ones. Those have definitely halted in many ways, and so I'm really looking forward to being in person with you all again, because that's been probably the biggest change and difficulty in my job. And then my hope for Grace is that, especially since COVID has happened, many of our service opportunities and partnerships have had to either adjust or been put on hold in different ways. And so I really hope, looking towards 2021, we can strengthen our relationship with community partners, with different programs, ministry opportunities, so that we as individuals can respond to our calls to serve, but then we can also live into our mission of being members in this community. When you think of the metric of grace, what is one word you would use to qualify who Grace UMC is? I'd say my one word would be convicted. I think that whether it be individuals or just our church at large, there is this deep conviction that folks have in their faith and their values and who God is calling them to be. And it's been a real joy to walk with y'all as you have lived into that conviction, as I've gotten to lead into my own conviction, and that we can join together in this mission at Grace. So, convicted. Well, thanks, y'all. This will be the beginning of our stewardship series, and we hope you enjoy these stories of the metric of grace.